Forget Ruth Stout, my lazy secret for a thriving garden microclimate. Most gardeners have heard of Ruth Stout, the no-work gardening legend who popularized heavy mulching with hay. Her system was revolutionary because it showed us that you don't need endless tilling, chemicals, or back-breaking labor to have abundance. But here's the thing. Gardening has evolved since Ruth Stout's time. While mulching is still powerful, I found an even lazier way to transform your garden. Not just into a fertile space, but into a thriving microclimate that feeds itself, protects itself, and produces like crazy. And the best part, it takes far less work than you think. Let's dig into what makes this method so effective. Mulch is a hero for many reasons. It protects the soil from erosion, keeps moisture in, and feeds soil organisms as it breaks down. But here's the catch. Mulch alone doesn't create a full garden ecosystem. If you really want your plants to thrive season after season, you need to think bigger than mulch. You need to design your garden's microclimate. A garden microclimate is the invisible environment around your plants, the humidity, airflow, soil temperature, and living organisms that all interact together. It's why some gardens seem to stay lush through droughts while others wither away. Mulching is just one piece of the puzzle. What I'm about to show you is how to combine Ruth Stout's idea with a few natural tweaks to create a living, self-regulating microclimate. Instead of endlessly hauling in hay or mulch, my secret is to let the garden build its own blanket, while I give it just a gentle nudge. Think of it as setting up the foundation and then letting nature do the rest. Here's how it works. Living mulch instead of dead mulch. Instead of only piling up hay, I sow low-growing cover crops like clover or creeping thyme between my beds. These act as a living mulch that keeps the soil shaded and moist, while also fixing nitrogen. No hauling, no spreading. Just let them grow and trim them when needed. Waste into wealth soil feeders. Kitchen scraps, pulled weeds, and fallen leaves don't go into a pile. They get tucked right under that living mulch layer. The worms and microbes do the composting for me, directly in the soil. This lazy composting shortcut means I'm constantly feeding the soil without ever turning a heap. Moisture catchment pockets. Instead of daily watering, I bury half-rotted logs, branches, or even kitchen paper waste under my beds. This acts like a sponge, hugelkultur in miniature, keeping the roots moist during dry spells. The logs slowly break down, releasing nutrients, while my plants rarely need extra water. Windbreaks and shade layers. To stabilize the microclimate, I plant taller crops like sunflowers, corn, or even fast-growing shrubs on the edges of my garden. They block harsh winds, cast dappled shade, and help prevent extreme temperature swings. That means less plant stress and more consistent harvests. What makes this method, lazier than Ruth Stout's mulching alone is that I don't constantly add outside inputs. With her method, you're always sourcing hay or mulch, hauling it, spreading it, and keeping the layers thick. With my approach, the garden actually generates much of its own protection and fertility. The cover crops reseed themselves. The buried waste, well, it slowly decomposes without me touching it. The logs store moisture year after year. The windbreak plants reseed or regrow naturally. All I do is guide the system with a little planting and occasional trimming. Nature handles the heavy lifting. Since I started gardening this way, I've noticed something fascinating. My garden actually feels different. The soil stays cooler in summer, warmer in early spring, and moist even during dry spells. I rarely have to water, pests are less aggressive, and my soil structure gets better every single year. It's not just about growing vegetables, it's about cultivating resilience. This kind of microclimate protects against climate swings, droughts, and even weeds. Instead of fighting nature with fertilizers, tilling, or pesticides, I just nudge the system in the right direction and then step back. If you want to adopt this lazy microclimate method, here's how to start. Plant a low-growing cover crop between your beds right after harvest. Stop throwing away garden waste. Tuck it under that green mulch instead. Bury logs, branches, or even shredded cardboard in one of your beds as a water sponge. Add a border of tall, fast-growing plants on the edges for protection. That's it. Once you've set up these layers, your garden will slowly start creating its own balanced microclimate. Ruth Stout gave us an incredible gift by showing that lazy gardening can be abundant gardening. But the truth is, we can take her vision one step further. By combining mulch with living systems, cover crops, buried organic matter, and protective plant layers, we don't just feed the soil. We create a thriving microclimate that sustains itself year after year. So forget hauling endless hay bales. Let your garden build its own living shield. Once you see how effortless it becomes, you'll wonder why more gardeners aren't doing it this way.